Hi, my name is Allison and I make stuff. About halfway through January, I was thinking to myself, what am I going to include in this video? I felt like I hadn't really made a lot of things. I wasn't terribly inspired. I was really stressed out about various life things happening. So it was a very busy month socially, and I didn't really feel like I had done a lot of making or crafting or sewing until maybe the last week of January, where I really buckled down and got a lot of stuff, relatively stuff done. And I feel really good about the things that I made this month, even if it's maybe not as many items as I'd made in previous months. One of the items I'm going to show you, I technically made in February, but February 1st, that's close enough. As per usual, I'm going to start off with my sewing makes, and all of my random makes are going to be at the end. I started off January making a lot of random sewing crafts for around my apartment. I had ordered a bunch of cotton batting and heat resistant batting to make pot holders out of scraps. I was very inspired by So Old Fashioned, Katie over there. She made a bunch of Christmas presents, pot holders. My pot holders that I had bought at the store looked absolutely disgusting, and I decided I needed some new ones, so I made myself these out of some scraps I had laying around that would have probably just sat in my closet, so I'm pretty happy that I used them up. The thread, you probably can't see, is all sorts of weird colors because I was just using whatever I had in the bobbin or, whatever I had in my machine. Because the print of this fabric is so loud, I figure it doesn't really matter. And these are for using, they're gonna eventually become dirty and I'm probably gonna have to eventually make new ones. I did this kind of circular, shape because this is the shape of the oven mitts that I am replacing. The ones that I had bought at I think I bought them at Anthropologie or something. They had, a nice cute little floral print. And I love this size and shape. I love that they have a little pocket for the hand and they bend nicely. And then I added little hooks. So I'm very happy with this. My next make of the month is actually right behind me. It is this cover I made for my serger. So I'll grab that. I cover my serger because my cat will try to eat the threads, and that's not good for cats. So I cover it up to make sure she doesn't nibble on it. I got this really nice chambray off of fabric.com. And I'm gonna try to get better at listing the fabrics that I am showing down below. So hopefully we'll have remembered to post that down there. But it's this really beautiful chambray. It's blue one direction and this kind of light yellow the other direction. And it looks purple, I think, with the combination of the two. So if you put it back here, it kind of looks like a dusty gray purple. But really it's a chambray, and up close it's actually really interesting fabric. I added a quilting pattern on it. I used some of the same batting that I had bought for my pot holders to kind of give it a little bit of structure. I think I did 2 layers on the side and maybe 1 on the front. I kind of wish I had done 2 layers on the front panel as well. I made the pattern myself by taking down the measurements of the widest parts of my serger, and then kind of making a little test fit. And I really like how it turned out. On the inside, I used some scraps from the dress I had made for my birthday, which is this Alice in Wonderland print. And I like that it's kind of like a little pop on the inside. I wanted something more neutral that would go with the decor of my bedroom, which is where my sewing desk is. And everything in here is kind of this nice soft gray palette, so I thought that this would be a great addition. And also I think it looks nice next to my very pretty baby blue sewing machine. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. It looks definitely so much better than the plastic cover that has been on my serger since I got it. And yeah, so I like it a lot. I actually, this looks a little rough, but I just overlocked the edges instead of doing bias binding or turning it over because I got lazy. And actually, I think I want to shorten this a little bit and add a little hole on the side for where the power cords come out of the machine. At least for the moment, it works perfectly fine for what I made it for, so that's great. So my next make is one of my Make 9, and it is a complete failure. I have some events coming up. Actually, the day I'm recording this, I have a party tonight I'm going to that I want to wear a dress to, and I have some weddings coming up of some dear friends, and I really wanted to make a beautiful dress to wear to a lot of these events. I have some dresses, a lot of them are maybe a little bit more casual than some of the events coming up, and so I thought, okay, this is my excuse to make something really great for the party. So if you remember back in my Make 9 video, I showed you this beautiful lace that had this colorful floral embroidery with butterflies, and I think I already explained that I wanted to make a fancy dress out of it, and I wanted to make it for these events coming up. So I attempted to do that. And it was a lot of work, because as you will see very soon, I tacked all the layers down of the lace to the other self fabric to make sure that it didn't get all wonky. And I just didn't end up liking the bodice that I was making and decided to scrap the idea, but I still have the bodice to show you. So this is what I made. You can still see my bright blue tacks where I pasted the lace down to the fabric, which, you know, was a lesson in patience for sure, because I spent a lot of time on something I'm never gonna wear probably. I just thought, you know, it's very pretty color combination, but when I held it up to my body, it just looked a little bit bridesmaidsy for some reason to me, and it didn't really feel like the type of dress to wear to these events that I'm going to. So I have it. I can complete it eventually. Will I? Who knows? But at least I tried, and I tried some new techniques with, you know, tacking down this lace, and, you know, it is a slightly more complicated process because of that, so I learned a lot. But yeah, so that's a Make 9 fail. I do like these colors together, that's nice. But I think it just ended up a little bit too matronly, and I wanted something a little more youthful to wear these parties. Now I made a second version of a dress to wear these parties that I won't show you because I don't think I even have what I had sewn up left, but I had made another bodice, this time out of a nice emerald green satin. I love jewel tones. I thought this is great. You know, I've worked with this type of satin before. It just ended up being so incredibly unflattering. I just couldn't finish that dress either. So at this point in the month, which is pretty early on in the month, I was just feeling so defeated. I had made 2 dresses, bodices, and both of them just didn't look good on me. I was feeling really down about myself. So I decided, feeling so down, to just go back to something that I knew a lot about, which is just making a nice simple dress out of some jersey. I think it's really interesting that earlier on in my sewing journey, when I was in design school and I was really starting to make my own clothes, most of the stuff I made was actually woven fabric. I made a lot of cotton dresses, but now I'm just like all aboard the knit train. It just is so relaxing for me to work with, and I really, really enjoy it. So I decided to just ignore the party dress idea. I had something I could wear if I really needed it, and just pick up something that I wanted to do, and like sew for fun. So I made this jersey dress. I bought this fabric on fabric.com, of course, and it had been sitting around for a while because when it arrived it was a little bit brighter than I thought it would be. I'm not really a bright orange and pink and, you know, floral kind of gal. Love green, so there's that. But I decided, you know what, I could make a dress that would be relaxing to sew, would be just purely for fun, but I really like it. I think it's very cute. I think it's very flattering. I did kind of just a plain, you know, t-shirt-y bodice without sleeves, obviously. And then I did a half circle skirt, and it was fun and I enjoyed it, and it just helped me kind of regain my confidence in what I was doing, because the past 2 beginnings of projects were failures. I was just feeling so bummed out. And I thought, you know what? I made something for fun. I kind of got my inspiration back. If I decide that I just don't have the energy this month to make another outfit for this party, okay, that's fine. But at the last minute, inspiration came to me. I had a friend over to show them how to use the serger because they were thinking about getting one, and it just reignited some more of the passion I had for working with knits. So I decided to go back to just working with what I love to make this dress to wear to these parties. And I bought myself some crushed velvet stretch fabric, and I made this. And I'm very, very, very happy with it because I think we can tell by now that I love stretch velvet. It is one of my favorite fabrics to work with. It's one of my favorite things to wear because it just looks so luxurious, even if it's just like a tank top dress, you know? So I made a wrap. I've made a dress just like this before. So this is a pattern that I had made before, a while ago, before I started making videos. And I had made it in a pink color before in a stretch velvet, of course. But I saw this kind of like crushed lilac color, and I thought usually I'm not a fan of crushed velvet, but I thought this was so, so pretty. And it just looks so, I mean, I feel like it's the perfect level of formality and casualness for a lot of the events that I'm gonna be going to. So I'm kind of bummed that my Make 9 didn't really pan out. I still have fabric left of it. I'm sure I could make something out of it, but I'm incredibly happy that I have this dress to wear. So it is a faux wrap, so it just is sewn on the side. And it's a half circle skirt because half circle skirt is my favorite thing in the world, and I love how I look in this. I think I've gained a bit of weight recently and it's kind of made me feel self-conscious, but wearing this dress I just feel like so pretty. So that is the saga of January sewing for me. But we are not finished because I have a bunch of other really random makes to show you. These are not in chronological order because honestly I have very bad short-term memory and I don't remember when I made them all. But the first one I'm going to show you is these pattern weights. I have made pattern weights just like this before. You might have seen them in pictures on my Instagram. But I make these out of resin and metal washers. So it is, resin's like plastic, and then the metal washers give them the weight. So these are made in little silicone bundt cake molds, so they look really adorable. And this is just like a really dark blue with some holographic glitter in it. It's kind of hard to tell. They're not that super duper sparkly, but well, you can kind of tell the back. Yeah, so I made a bunch of these because I've been really into pattern weights recently. I make my own patterns and I don't really like sticking pins in them, and some of the paper that I use is not high quality, or you know, it's gonna rip if you put pins in it. So I really like using pattern weights, and so I'm glad I have more. Oh geez, glad I have more. My next super random make of the month, you may not know what this is. This is soap paste. I have been making bar soap for a little while, and I decided next level of my soap evolution was making liquid soap. And so I made the soap paste. What you do is you dilute it in water. I made this entirely out of olive oil. Yes, because I think I read somewhere that you can make soap paste out of each individual type of fat, and then you can mix them later on, which is pretty cool. So I can make coconut oil later, coconut oil soap, and mix them. So yes, this is 100% olive oil. And so this is Castile soap, liquid soap. And we've been using this for washing dishes. My husband uses Castile soap taking showers, so this has been really fun. It's like super cost effective. I think I bought like a $12 bottle of olive oil to make this with, and this will last us a long time. Because you imagine this, like multiply this by like 3, which is how much soap you get for how much soap paste, because you dilute it like, you know, at different ratios depending on how liquidy you want it. But yeah, so this is one of the super random makes of the month, and it was a lot of fun. It was a very, very long process. Liquid soap making is not very quick, but I love kind of just getting into the nitty gritty of learning how to do things, and so learning how to make a different kind of soap was really, really fun. Speaking of soap, I have some soap bars. This is one I made at the very beginning of the month. It is lavender essential oil. I never put enough fragrance in my bars for some reason. I always think I'm putting a ton in, but it's very mildly scented lavender. And I used activated charcoal as the colorant, and it has this kind of cool swirly vibe. I wanted it to look more like marble, so I think I added a little bit too much activated charcoal. I really wanted it to be like more mostly white with a little bit of black, but I still really like how it looks. I think it looks very interesting, very luxurious, kind of very pretty, and it smells good. Now, the next 2 bars I'm gonna show you are kind of ugly. I made a whole batch of lavender soap a while back, and I put lavender buds in the soap, which was probably a bad idea because they kind of add these brown spots, which are totally fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with the soap, it just looked a little ugly. So I chopped up that soap and I put it into another batch of kind of lavender color, so it has speckles in it. So I think that was my attempt at salvaging it. This is also not the prettiest soap. It looks better than the last batch because at least it doesn't have big brown spots in it. It has little brown spots. But this is probably going to be more for personal use than gifting because it's a little embarrassingly ugly. Speaking of ugly, I had a lot of other soap scraps from trimming, or you know, sometimes I chop the tops off my soaps because I like them to be very even and square. So I had a bunch of leftover, so I decided to do a similar thing and add them to this bar, which also is a little too ugly for me to gift. So it's like this kind of nice minty green, and all these, well, if I can get it to, yeah, there you go. And all these very funky colors on the inside of random scraps I have. It smells good because this I scented with mint, because all of these, I guess I'm really into mint flavored scented soap, because all of the various bits on the inside were also from mint themed bars. So I figured just making the whole thing mint would be great. I'm excited for February because I feel like I'm really inspired to make things that bring me happiness, and not because I feel like I need to work on my sewing skills. I feel like sometimes you get wrapped up in like, oh, the next project needs to be more complicated, or it needs to have a lot more of these very specific sewing skills. And sometimes I just need to sit in front of my serger and make a jersey dress, you know? And I think learning those lessons where like, you don't always have to one-up yourself, and sometimes you can just enjoy sewing. It's a very valuable lesson, and I think February, I'm gonna really take that to heart. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked my makes, and I will see you next time. Bye.